Ladies and gentlemen, the Weekend Warrior.
What's the haps, lads and gals? It is I, the Weekend Warrior, once again gracing you with my presence. And here we are again, guys. We are putting a bad game out to pasture. And this time, that bad game...
そろそろ祈りを捧げる時間ですが、ご一緒にいかがでしょう?
Did I say game? Movie! No, that game's actually fucking good. Way, way, way better than this piece of shit. This movie feels so unnecessary. If I wanted an ending to the Indiana Jones story, any of the endings in the previous entries of this franchise would have worked. And the way they told the story of this film, Indiana Jones is unnecessary. Not because he was replaced by an annoying protagonist, but that character is also annoying, and it's really funny. And let's get right into it. This was not the best way to have ended this franchise, not at all. You ended everything on a pretty sad note despite the movie insisting that it's happier. Indy does survive the events of the film, which is bullshit in its own way. You have this 80-year-old man with a bullet in his chest for the last 20 minutes of this film. He should be dead! This franchise should have died! Like that ending in Last Crusade, where Indy rides off into the sunset after learning the important lesson that maybe magical artifacts aren't all that's important in this world. Maybe you should let that go. For me, that's a skill issue. I would have summoned the sun and he would have gotten the Grail. And then I will finally have enough Grails for my next favorite servant. Crystal Skull's ending, even though I do not have warm feelings for the movie, that was a great ending for Indiana Jones. He has the love of his life, he has a son, and they're gonna ride off into the sunset. This movie goes, fuck that shit.
Alright, Jones, how are you gonna find that statue and all this junk?
Sure, it begins with the standard Indiana Jones action prologue, but Indy is in the worst fucking place he is. He's a professor who is retiring, his students don't respect him, his neighbors don't respect him, he's in the middle of a divorce, and by the way, his son is dead. What a great story. I like the endings here because even though, like, let's say, they never made an Indiana Jones film after this, I could imagine Indiana Jones being in a good place. Now, canonically, we know his life is in shambles. I don't like Mutt, just to be clear, I just don't like that they killed him off screen so that you have your character be in a low spot. You've turned him into a plot device, basically. Like usually these types of movies, right? You start your character in a somewhat bad spot, and they rise above it, and they go through that, and they solve whatever the fuck they need to solve. They turned Mutt into the catalyst. He dies and Marion can't deal with it, so they have a divorce. Okay, fine, it's separation. I just noticed. It's separation. Fuck me. Which is still bad. Indiana Jones is still in a not good place. And the way this is tied into the main conflict is that it doesn't really feel that tied into the main conflict. The easiest route to go here is that despite everything that Indiana Jones has went through, he still concludes that life is worth living. He doesn't even do that in this film. The reasons for him going through the whole motions of the plot isn't even related to that personal problem he has. He just goes with it just to clear his name, which is a stupid scene, by the way. He is wanted by the New York authorities. His face is on the TV, his name is on the TV. Some rando recognizes him on the street. And for some reason, he manages to walk into the fucking airport with his passport and goes off to the adventure.
That's not how
Being a fugitive
works.
Make it make sense, guys. And the climax of this film is so fucking bad. So Indy wants to stay in the battle because he wants to be a part of history. I get that Indiana Jones appreciates history, but that hasn't been established throughout this whole story, and then you just bring it up here. That's odd, as an audience member. Where is this coming from? In the intro, there are scenes where Indy doesn't feel at home with the moon landing. He doesn't get it. He doesn't appreciate it. He kind of feels like a man out of time. Does that then mean he'd rather be in the past? I don't think so. That's not enough. If anything, he'd rather be at a moment where he could save his son. But to witness a historic event firsthand, that's woo, okay, I guess. Let's accept that that's what Indy wants to do. What does this movie do? Not only was this invented last minute, oh, I guess I want to stay here thing, is taken away from him by the secondary protagonist, said protagonist also resolves his personal problem for him. She calls Marion, who shows up, and then they're okay. Wow, what an amazing ending, Mark. That's very fucking satisfying. Oh, if you don't get it, I'm being sarcastic right now. This film can go fuck itself. And the writing is so inconsistent here. When the credits rolled, there were like 4 people credited, and this shows here. Cause Indy says this.
I tell him that his mother would find no end to her grief, and that his father would be helpless to console her, and that the loss would put an end to their marriage.
But then Marion asks this.
Someone told me you were back. Are you back, Indy?
Implying that Indy was the one who couldn't handle his son's death. So what is this? Some he said, she said bullshit? Also, I think the ending forgot that Indy wanted to stay in the past for like history seeing purposes.
You're meant to be here, Indy.
For who?
So you know what I infer from that? He doesn't really want to stay in the present because he has nothing to live for. So he went there to commit unalive.
I came to this island to die.
Oh, what's this doing? This is just an aside. All the heroes of old that came from Lucasfilm are shit. Hector shares his insight that he needs Lucasfilm to understand. Not everyone grows up to be a miserable old man with a failed personal life. Please find other conflicts for our beloved characters. Thank you, Hector. Han Solo is a deadbeat dad who's killed by his son because he couldn't have a good relationship with him. Luke Skywalker abandons the Force because he tried to kill his nephew. And by the way, he would not fucking try to kill his nephew, okay? And he runs away sucking alien tits for milk, which is amazing. And this movie continues that fine tradition. What Hector doesn't say, or maybe he says it in another tweet, all of these characters are replaced by an annoying British lady who thinks she's hot shit.
What'd you do?
I bypassed the compressor.
The biggest problem we have with Helena is that she's competent but not likable, which is a problem if you want her to replace Indiana Jones for your franchise. Prime example is when Antonio Banderas dies. Remember he was in the film? She was hooting and hollering about how she saved the day with dynamite, and Indy had to remind her of what just happened.
My friend was just murdered.
And the setup for this whole moment is just annoying because she lectures the villain and tells him the translation of the tablet. And really, I feel that Indy should be the one doing that because it's a callback to the lecture in the intro, but now somebody actually gives a shit instead of his apathetic students. And then Helena could still do the dynamite thing. Why not? Indy lectures, Helena executes. You know, some proper teamwork. He has to be goaded by Helena to light the dynamite, which is a perfect encapsulation of this whole fucking movie. Indy is dragged along by the plot. He doesn't execute. He doesn't initiate the adventure. Helena does, not him. She is the impetus for going to Morocco, or wherever the fuck that was. By the end of the film, she's the one going through motorcycles, racing to save the damsel in distress, Indiana Jones, who's shot in the chest. By the way, he should be fucking dead. I will repeat this. He's 80 years old, got shot in the chest, and there was a travel time shit before they got into the plane. He should be dead, okay? Which one of you 4 chuckle fucks thought it was a good idea in the first place? Indy getting caught is enough. Why do you have to shoot him? This just makes the last 20 minutes of your film fucking absurd. Almost as absurd as thinking Helena Shaw can carry a fucking franchise. She exudes main character energy because by the end of the film, she saves the day in the most anticlimactic way possible. Dare I say a subversion of our expectations, am I right, my fellow students? Helena Shaw is just built different. She's a better Indiana Jones, better lecturer, better adventurer. She has a better short round who can fly a fucking plane and kill someone in cold blood. Fuck off, you short child. Get out of here. Honestly, this rubs me off the wrong way. This is like proclaiming that you're the champion of the world after beating an old man when he's 87 years old in the retirement home. She's just not likable. She's not.
How did you end up like this?
Claiming resourceful, very beautiful self-sufficient.
Okay, the context for this, they were about to chase the Nazis who got the artifact, and then this guy shows up. Her husband comes after her. Her husband, the crime boss, who gave her bail money. So instead of, hatching a clever escape plan to get out of jail, or speech 99ing that shit to get out of that conundrum, she marries a crime boss. Nothing says strong, independent, resourceful woman quite like whoring yourself out.
Arrested in Tangier last year for auctioning contraband. She was bailed out by Aziz Rahim. This week, the hotel is hosting its annual auction of stolen antiquities.
I gave the film far more credit than it deserved because in my head I thought, oh, she's in cahoots with the crime boss. That's why she's having the sale in his hotel. She's just stupid. She's almost as stupid as Indiana Jones, who thought you could just walk into an airport as a fugitive. There were 4 script writers here, and no one thought maybe we shouldn't have the auction in the place where she could be hunted down by the person she tricked. I'm just saying, there are 4 of you. In your attempt to make her independent and strong and smart, she just comes across as ridiculously incompetent.
Maybe you returned because you loved me.
I had an item to sell.
I presume you sold the ring?
It didn't go for as much as I thought it would.
He's a tier 3 sub that was scorned by his waifu. It's fucking pathetic. For this lady, bro?
Out the back.
I would get it if she was extremely attractive. I would not call her conventionally attractive. I would also get it if she was a malformed beast and she's still charming or radiates warmth. No, unfortunately, she's just a malformed beast. They made an attempt where Indiana Jones said, you know what, little girl? You don't memorize your father's journals for just money. You got a hidden heart of gold in you. 90% of the movie, she's acting like a bitch. And then the last 10%, she goes, no, Indy, you're important, Mr. Godfather. Fuck off. It's just unconvincing. Far too little heart, far too late into the movie. And there could have been another route for this. They could have created this where you focus on the character that's going to take over first. Then you have the previous character be there as a mentor figure. But honestly, I think they know it won't sell. That's why they tried to sneak her in here. Like, I wouldn't notice. And like, you wouldn't fucking blatantly say it in an interview. It's such a misguided attempt. Throughout the proceedings, I just don't get any sort of love for Indiana Jones. I just feel an overwhelming sense of disrespect. And this leads us into the... Indiana Jones movies weren't really about the artifact. The Ark is in a warehouse somewhere. Indy returns the rock. The Crystal Skull went back to its home planet. And the grill is lost to time, you stupid fuck.
Could have kept it.
What for? They'd just put it in a museum, it'd be another rock collecting dust.
It was always about Indiana Jones going through these adventures as a dashing rogue. As someone who's intelligent and, if need be, violent enough to solve the challenges that he faces. It's the epitome of, it's not the destination, but the journey. We can't even console ourselves because this film has neither of those things. Indy does not want to go on an adventure, felt like he was being dragged to a theme park by some entitled bitch. And what's worse, the entitled bitch solved his problem for him. This movie is all payoff with no setup. All in all, this movie isn't for fans of Indy, as people are finally fed up with their heroes getting treated like shit. And for the hardcore Helena Shaw fans, I think they did show up, it just didn't make a dent. You know what, this could have been the perfect movie to nostalgia bait. Just make a short round, soft reboot, get Indiana Jones back as the voice on the phone going, short round, you're an idiot, let's do this and that. That would have made money, I swear to God. More money than this shit. And that's the end of this analysis, guys. Thank you once again for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations! It's over. If you like this video, please like. If you disliked it, please leave a dislike. I would like to know why you disliked it. I read the comments. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon. And I have multiple tiers for your gaming pleasure. And speaking of my tier-free subs, a huge shout out to my patrons for making this possible. Black Vulcan X, Bonoff M. Yisod, Delatar Teeps, Robot Eye, Shaped Like Bacon, Marcelo Oliveria, John Lemley, Registered Good Boy, Hjortor S. Hjortorson, Chet McMasterson, and Tad586, as well as these other wonderful warriors. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Vault door cycling sequence initiated. Please